Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm Chris Mackey. I am part of the Community and Economic Development team for the City of Phoenix, and we are thrilled to have all of you here today for the groundbreaking on the newest development on the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. This has been a project quite a long time in the making, and we are super excited to be here with you. This really is a true collaboration. We all talk about collaboration, we all talk about working together, but this is a true effort between the City of Phoenix, Arizona State University, and Wextord Science+Technology. This is a true public-private partnership to bring the next project on the Phoenix Biomedical Campus out of the ground. So just as a quick funny aside, so I've been with the city about 4.5 years, coming up on 5 years now. Tom Osha with Wexford was my very first meeting when I started with the city in 2014. So it's been a long time in coming, and we're very excited to have you here with us today. I would like at this moment to introduce, who needs no introduction, President Michael Crow, who's going to talk to us about ASU's vision for the campus and where they'll be going. President Crow?
Good morning, everyone. I think I want to focus on this notion of partnership. More than 10 years ago, we became the partner with the City of Phoenix with two mutual objectives. One, to help increase the educational attainment and educational success in scientific and discovery at energy level inside the City of Phoenix by embedding much of our university ideas and energy here in downtown Phoenix, and that's gotten off to a great start that some of you might have noticed here and there. And so our campuses move forward. And the second partnership is to partner with everybody else. To partner with the University of Arizona and Northern Arizona University and the City of Phoenix here on this Phoenix Biomedical Campus to find fantastic world-class development partners like Wexford, who have built fantastic projects all over the country, who make things happen, who attract scientific and technological enterprises to their world-class facilities, who work on a partnership basis. And so rather than spend our lives listening to the blather that we're hearing on the news all the time about this is not going very well and we're arguing about this and this and this and this and this, it's probably better that we just go ahead and keep doing what we're doing. And that is to advance our partnerships, which create a better outcome for the people that we live with. Our job within the university is to be what we call a knowledge enterprise. We produce several types of knowledge products. Our principal and most important product are the people that pass through the university. We'll graduate from Arizona State University, 25,000 of those people this year. Those people are leaving the university at state-of-the-art learning initiation points. They're not leaving as, ready to work, ready to engage, solve all the problems. They're ready to learn, ready to advance, ready to move forward. The second product that we have is we produce ideas. Ideas that come from facilities like this one, ideas that come from our faculty and our students, ideas that come from our partnerships. These things all come together. And the last thing that we produce, we don't know what really to call these sometimes, but we produce widgets or gizmos or cool stuff. We haven't developed it yet, but I'm certain that out of one of our facilities, whatever the Star Trek stuff is that you see in the future, we will have developed all of that. And so this kind of facility, this Wexford facility, is a fantastic partnership for us because it empowers our College of Health Solutions, our College of Nursing and Health Innovations, which is on this campus, the University of Arizona College of Medicine, the NAU programs in allied health, all of this energy that's here, all of this activity that's here on the Phoenix Biomedical Campus creates more creative critical mass. That's what we're after. Companies that want to be here with us, companies that want to be linked with us, people that want the best ideas, the best people, the best teams, the best capability. And right here on this seemingly neutral piece of dirt is going to come this facility as the first of several facilities. The amount of public investment in this is coming from the City of Phoenix in the sense of providing the land and creating the opportunity and making things happen. The relationship with the university through the arrangement that we have then creates us as an academic partner to help make all of this happen, so we're excited about that. But then this also becomes, and this is really important in the context of Arizona, this becomes a project in which private capital is put to work. Private capital generates jobs, generates income, generates wealth, generates positive outcomes. These are not projects that are driven by the government. These are projects that are enabled by the government and driven by the market. And that's the way that we operate also. That's what makes this 7+ acres that we have on this site, this more than 1 million feet that will be developed on this site, the thousands of jobs that will be on this site, the hundreds of interactions that will be on this site, so important. And so we're excited. You can look back behind you and see some of the great things that the market is responding to. Entire communities that are being built, cancer that's being cured right over here down the street, all kinds of things that are happening. So this is a big moment for Phoenix. Now this isn't the only show. This is really important for people to realize. It turns out ASU and our partners are operating all through Phoenix and all through central Arizona and all through Arizona. This becomes then a signature site which will then lead to other things here and other things elsewhere. This is a catalytic project. So Wexford, I had a chance to meet with the leaders of Wexford yesterday. Wexford is taking a risk on us. They've obviously made the calculation or they wouldn't be sitting here, that things can happen here. And I know they're already planning building 2 and they've already thought about building 3 and 4 and 5 and then other sites and other places that they'll go and other parts of Phoenix that they'll move into. So we're really excited. I'm looking at each of the Wexford people as I say this. And so we're excited to be here, Mayor. Thank you for your long-standing support, and members of the council and others, thank you for everything that you all have been able to do. We're very excited about this project, very excited about advancing our partnership and moving forward in higher and higher levels, and it's a great day to get this thing kicked off. Thank you.
Well, we are, again, as President Crow talked about, so excited about what's going on here in Phoenix, both in the biomedical development, in research development, and healthcare development. Kind of a little known fact about Phoenix right now is we are leapfrogging over a number of other cities in biosciences and healthcare development. Either under construction now, in planning, or in design, we have 4.4 million square feet of research and development buildings or health care buildings that do not include medical office buildings. So true research and patient care buildings at $3.5 billion that will create 7,000 new jobs in our community. So that's the next 24 months. If you look at, another comparable, if you look at the Texas Medical Center, if you look at Houston, over the last 8 years, they've done about 1.5 million square feet. And they're really kind of the granddaddy when you look at healthcare and biosciences of patient care. And we have more than tripled what they're doing.
I thought they were closing that.
Well, they're all coming here, exactly. So we continue to be super excited about where we're going in biosciences and healthcare. One of the leaders for the city of Phoenix in the conception of the Biosciences campus was Mayor Thelda Williams. She's been a member of the city council in 2 different terms since 1989. So the decisions that we are making today regarding the Biosciences campus actually all started with her. So I'd like to welcome Mayor Thelda Williams to say a few words. Thank you.
As it was said, this is a big moment for Phoenix. We are so excited, and I want to thank all of you for being here. You help recognize how important it is to our city and to downtown. I've been around for almost 30 years, and downtown was our dream. Could we make it happen? And I will tell you it's because of the vision and the leadership, ASU, President Crow, Chris Mackey, that actually is bringing us to this point. Wexford is a premier company, and to be chosen for a West Side site is our dream. And it means that it will be a growing research area. I am very proud to go out internationally and promote this, as we did last week. Had great interest already, and I know that we are going to be hugely successful. And I give all the credit to not only people up here, but to many of you. You have made it possible, but it's the first step. Remember, we have a long ways to go, and we're going to depend on you to continue to build on this and make us beat Houston so they do have to close their doors. Thank you for all for being here. I want to introduce Councilwoman Mendoza. She represents this area, and would you like to come up and say a few words?
Thank you and welcome to this exciting day. We are thrilled about the partnership between ASU and the Wexford Science and Technology. As a council member representing District 8, I can attest to the fact that these partnerships are critical to our residents. We have been working for many years to create a premier biomedical campus in the city of Phoenix. We cannot have a state-of-the-art campus without having more research opportunities. Wexford arrivals augments the infrastructure needed for our growing bioscience companies to thrive. We want to welcome the innovative team for Wexford Science and Technology to the city of Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, and the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. Thank you again for being here. Thank you.
I'd like to thank both Mayor Williams and Councilwoman Mendoza for being with us here today, but I'd also like to take a quick minute to introduce some of the others in the audience that were key in helping us get to this point. City Manager Ed Zerker is here with us this morning. And Assistant City Manager Deanna Jonovich. You know, as all complicated projects do, and for those of you that run complicated projects, crazy things always happen at the end. Crazy things always happen through that process, and we're no exception to the craziness that was happening as we went along through this process. Over Christmas week, Rick Neymark, who is here in the front row from Arizona State University, Tom, Doug Woodruff, me, Alan Stevenson, and a number of team members, Patty Boland, the attorney from the city, Wexford's attorneys, were on the phone Christmas Eve trying to solve the last minute problems that went along with this campus. So I really want to take a minute to thank all the people that worked so diligently with us on there. My team, Lori Collins, Nate Wright, Claudia Whitehead, who have put their heads down and moved this moving forward. So if you could join me in thanking them. Again, as we talk about Wexford, they are a globally recognized biosciences development entity, but more important, they're an innovation conceiver. They're the ones who create these great ideas. They're the ones who bring all of the people together to collaborate and to work together. And we are so thrilled and honored to have them here with us today. I'd like to invite the CEO, Jim Behrens, up to say a few words.
Good morning. Great turnout. Thank you all for coming. We're very excited about this opportunity. I want to make just a couple of comments about the project itself, and I really want to identify our terrific development team, which are sprinkled out here through the audience. So anyhow, yesterday, as President Crow said, we had an opportunity to visit with him, and we said to him that Wexford is all in on creating this knowledge community here in downtown Phoenix. And what we mean by all in is obviously we're excited, we're committed, and we have a high level of confidence this is going to be successful. So confident actually that yesterday we did start the design and pre-development work for the second building. So hopefully, you know, when this one is... So Bernie, when this building is opening, we'll be getting in the ground, you know, for the one behind it. So I'll hope to see you all there at that time. Anyhow, the reason we're so confident, I think I'd like to make a few comments here, is that when we look around for opportunities like this, if certain elements are in place, we have a high level of confidence that we have a terrific project, and the opportunity for success is very high. So knowing it starts with having a world-class university, and here obviously we have it in spades with Arizona State University, tremendous leadership with President Crow, their awesome research enterprise, and really the commitment they have to creating jobs and building communities, which you've heard here this morning. And so without that kind of partnership, you know, these projects don't really have the opportunity to succeed and thrive the way that we want. The other thing is a strong partnership with the city. And we are in the city, and having that relationship over time is imperative to the success. Our team, which has started here 4 years ago, we've been able to create that partnership with the city, and we really thank the mayor and the Mayor Williams and predecessor, Congressman Stanton, for allowing us to have this partnership with them. They have a tremendous staff. I can tell it's a tremendous staff because as our team talks about the city, they talk about them in terms of refreshing, get it done environment, and so you should all be very proud of that. The third thing is really that contributes to a community like this is the presence of the creative and innovative culture. As we sit here and we look in this direction at Roosevelt Row, which is the largest arts community here in Phoenix, and look at some of the other neighborhoods, Evans Church and Garfield, and those environments add texture and diversity and opportunity to projects like this. So very fortunate to have this right here with us. Workforce training opportunities, about 40 or 50% of the jobs that will be created in this building don't require a 4-year degree. So beyond the ASU graduates, which are outstanding, we're working with the Phoenix Union Biosciences High School and the Gateway Community College to create the opportunities for the rest of the talent that's required to make a project like this successful. And then finally is a strong live, work, play, learn environment. And as you sit here in the donut hole and you look around us, in lots of workplaces we're trying to create this environment, but you look at the residential and the retail, access to the light rail, and you look at the density of quality universities, not only ASU, University of Arizona, Northern Arizona University, all of those together are really create this environment that attracts talent, and that talent at the end of the day attracts companies. So anyhow, we're looking forward to the beginning of a long strategic partnership with ASU, the city, and the great neighborhoods that surround us. In closing, I want to identify and recognize the development team, terrific architects, HKS. You see the beautiful building that they're designing here. We're very fortunate to have them on this project. Our contractor is Oakland, and they're here today with us. We're looking forward to that. The Wexford team, with Doug Woodruff, Tom Osha, Bernie Craig, Dennis Miller, terrific team from our side that are very excited about this opportunity, and our capital partner, Ventas. So thank you all for coming. Look forward to seeing you again here soon.
If I could then welcome to the stage Peter Bulgar. I'm going to say your name wrong.
Bulgarelli.
Bulgarelli. I should have known that before I got up here. President of Ventas.
It's okay, my wife can't say that either, so we're fine. So, good morning, everybody. I'm Pete Bulgarelli. I wish I was president of Ventas. I'm executive vice president of Ventas, and I lead. Yeah, I love it. So let's keep going. It's terrific. So some people might wonder, who the heck is Ventas? We're one of the largest long-term capital providers in real estate, and we have about 1,200 assets around the country, focused primarily on healthcare, research and innovation, and senior housing. So, and the research innovation centers are principally anchored by highly ranked universities, and of these partners that we have, we represent about 10% of the total research investments by the universities. And when we met with President Crow yesterday, I learned an awful lot about your business, and I think you're in great standing with this 10%. I would say, after listening to you, I might be convinced that you're in the top. So it's very impressive what you've done here. Yeah, very good. So we're very excited to be your partner, and what we hope is that bringing together the activities at the Phoenix Biomedical Campus will spur a lot of strategic relationships through the sharing of knowledge, It's going to be fostered by a robust building infrastructure and a fantastic built environment. We hope that this campus will be a key element in creating a global center for interdisciplinary research, discovery, and development, which I know is a key ASU goal. So in working together with our exclusive development partner, Wexford Science and Technology, we're building a platform for ASU that will combine innovative design, high performance, and environmental responsibility. Most importantly, it'll provide ASU and its partners with a world-class experience. So by providing capital for ASU, we hope that your students, researchers, and professionals will be free to devote themselves to creating public value to meet your goals and fulfill your charter. So congratulations on this fantastic opportunity. Our thanks to ASU, our thanks to the City of Phoenix, and to Wexford for welcoming Ventas as a partner for this exciting project. We look forward to seeing this research and development project move forward, and we look forward to a long-term partnership. Thank you very much.
You know, as I mentioned earlier, the Biosciences Campus actually started as an idea in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And part of that plan as it morphed forward was the creation of the Biosciences Roadmap. That Biosciences Roadmap was created in 2001, and the Flynn Foundation has been the leader of the Biosciences Roadmap since that time. Tammy McLeod, who is the CEO of the Flynn Foundation, is with us today, as is Brad Halverson. We've worked on the Biosciences Roadmap and really using that as our guiding document moving forward. So instrumental in the Flynn Foundation's Biosciences Roadmap have been the cities, have been the biosciences companies, AZ Bio with Joan Kerber-Walker, and Chris Camacho with the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. It really, the move and the shift in healthcare and biosciences has been really to change the conversation and drive investment and quality jobs forward in Phoenix. So with that, I'd like to invite Chris Camacho, the president and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, up to talk to us about what's going on.
Well, good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. So I'm really excited today for a number of reasons. You're sitting here in the heart of the fastest growing region in the entire United States, which is shocking to most people. I had a group in from New York yesterday, and they kept asking me, why is there so much momentum here? And actually, we did have the sun out here yesterday, and they came from 20 degrees, and I said, I promise you that's not the only reason why people are moving here. But what's important to me in terms of my job on a daily basis to build a robust and diverse economic position for our region is we need so much more than growth. Our future depends on the nexus between our ability to educate individuals, to meet future job demands, invest in modern infrastructure, and have key catalyst projects like what Wexford is building here in the heart of Phoenix to drive our future outcomes. The healthcare and biomedical sector today is the largest sector in our entire economy. Over 260,000 people in our region work in the bioscience, biomedical community. In the growth over the last 5 years, we've seen over 21% growth occur here in Metro Phoenix tied to the biomedical sector. It's almost 2 times the national average. And so Michael and Thelda and many others talked about the spirit of collaboration. 10 years ago when I came to Phoenix and someone mentioned to me this massive pride that was a debate between U of A and ASU and NAU, and not being a homegrown guy, I said, well, I'll wear every jersey any chance I get. And believe it or not, we're sitting here with these universities and industry and capital partnered together to meet the needs of the future innovation market. And 5 years ago when Doug and Tom came to my office and they said, we have a vision, we have a dream for the downtown core here in Phoenix, I said, well, tell me more. And they said, well, we want to build something similar to what we've built across the country with these university partnerships in Philadelphia and St. Louis, where I hail from. And I can tell you in visiting a number of the projects, specifically the one in St. Louis around Washington University, this specific project with the office capabilities, the lab space, the innovation and co-working space that will be available for entrepreneurs unlocks a tremendous opportunity for the urban core here in Phoenix as a true catalyst for the future vision that we are collectively building together. So I'm excited and honored to be here as part of the team. I can't tell you enough how the partnership that GPEC has with the City of Phoenix and our 22 other cities, but specifically City of Phoenix, the vision that Ed and the staff have here with Christine Mackey. I get up every day and have the opportunity to meet with so many globally dynamic companies that want to make investments here in Greater Phoenix, and it's truly about momentum and tailwinds. So let's harness this growth momentum as a tailwind and turn this market into the most enviable market in the country, and we're going to do that with partners like Wexford, City of Phoenix, and our university partners, along with industry. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm hopeful we'll be here very soon to be actually putting dirt in our hands and opening up the ribbon cutting for new office space and innovation space here right in the core of downtown Phoenix. So thank you again.
You know, as we continue that conversation about collaboration and what's been going on down here, I really would like to also recognize University of Arizona. They were the leaders in our biomedical campus in the first buildings that went in. You see them to the south of us here today. Northern Arizona University, who has a significant presence with their allied health fields. So the three universities have worked so closely together to collaborate on this campus. As I mentioned to you earlier, my first meeting at the City of Phoenix was with Tom Osha with Wexford. Tom and I hit it off instantly. Tom had great ideas. I can sit for hours and listen to Tom talk about innovation ideas, innovation corridors, and how we drive the economy forward. So I won't stand in between you and hearing from Tom on his vision for this campus and how Wexford will move forward. Tom?
Good morning. So yesterday I was doing a newspaper interview with a national reporter, and his very first words were, "What is going on in Phoenix?" Everywhere I look, there's exciting news that's happening, right? It's coming out of ASU, it's coming out of the companies, it's coming out of this vibrant, renewed downtown. And so we talked a lot about what's happening in cities around the country today. For Wextord Science+Technology, this represents our 13th project. You can go around the country and see 12 others with universities that are central beacons of their innovation districts, right? And so this 13th one is very important to us because when I first met Chris, I knew that this was a different kind of place. The first time I met President Crow and Punch to learn about this knowledge enterprise that is ASU, I understood this was a different kind of university. And when we came here and Doug and I looked around at this environment, we knew it was a different kind of physical environment where we could do something truly special. So there are about 100 innovation districts in the United States alone. There is another 75 to 100 suburban office and science parks. There's about 40 in Europe. And I'll tell you that not all of them will be successful. Many of you may be familiar with the groundbreaking Brookings study, The Rise of Innovation Districts, that Bruce Katz and Julie Wagner wrote about 5 years ago. That paper is being refreshed and is going to come out sometime around the 1st of April. And it's examining what has happened in these intervening 4 years, what we've learned, what has become important to making these innovation districts that are going to succeed the ones that are highly sustainable. First and foremost is that sustainable intellectual capital around a major university, right? And so there have been a number of districts who have tried to pop up without that as an anchor and are not being successful. It requires that, and you have that. The second thing it requires, as Jim Behrens said, this kind of environment where everyone is in alignment. The city government, the university, the intermediaries like GPEC, the Tech Council, philanthropy and funders like the Flynn Foundation, the business community, entrepreneurs, the neighborhoods, all going in a singular direction. We've seen over the last month or so the results of what happens when a city like New York might not be pulling in the same direction and what that can have as an impact for company attractions and for jobs. And now we're seeing today what that means when a city is all pulling in the same direction around doing big things. And Phoenix has done a lot of big things just in the 4 or 5 years that I've been coming here. Another thing that becomes important to these districts, and one of the things that is really, we believe, the secret sauce at Wexford is we're here today to turn ground and celebrate this beautiful building. But it's not about the real estate. It really is about what this building enables folks to do, what it enables for the university and its research enterprise, its corporate relations, its ability to educate students and give them experiential opportunities. It's what it means for the ecosystem in filling gaps. Gaps in infrastructure, gaps in places to collaborate. It's what it means for the workforce, right, in those jobs that Jim talked about that may not require the four-year degree, and how to make sure that the investments and the prosperity that occur here recourse to the neighborhoods and to all communities in the greater Phoenix area. It's about what it means to create both accidental and intentional collisions among a diverse set of people and ideas that where the next great products and the next great ideas come from. And so this will be a hub for people to gather, entrepreneurs, corporate innovators, university researchers, artists, and others who desire to be a part of the great things that are happening here in the Phoenix Biomedical District. So it has been our great pleasure to be a part of this. It really is, of all the projects I've done, this is my favorite one, both because I get to work with Chris and great partners, but also it's taken a long time because what we've done is we've spent that time, Doug and I, learning about this environment and learning about where we can plug in not just a building but a real ecosystem to help Phoenix continue on so that in the next years to come, people don't have to ask me what's going on in Phoenix. They all already know. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for being so welcoming to Wexford and community.
You know, I'm the shortest one of all of them. I keep having to turn the mic back down again. When you look at the Phoenix Biomedical Campus, it really is the centerpiece of the Phoenix core, Phoenix's innovation district. I had the pleasure of meeting with President Crow a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about the biomedical campus, but looking at it as a bigger picture, not looking at it as the 30 acres that is the biomedical campus itself, but how it moves into the biomedical zone, how it moves into the innovation zone that surrounds this campus, connecting the nursing programs, the educational programs, the communities, the neighborhoods into a much larger place, and had a great conversation with him about it. So as we continue to move forward, we look forward to expanding on our biomedical campus, connecting it further into the community and creating that innovation zone of the Phoenix core that surrounds this area. I thank you all for coming today. We are now going to do the ceremonial shovel groundbreaking hard hat. So I'd invite everyone that's up here with me to get ready to turn some dirt.